Hello again, Year 11. So for this lesson, we're going to move away from language paper 1 and we're going to think back to Macbeth. We're going to be concentrating on using quotes or how to use quotes effectively. So can you please write today's date, the 8th of January, and the title, Developing Comments on Key Quotes and Building Ideas. Ideally, this should be in your literature book. So to start with, we're going to do a little bit of quote practice. We've done this before, so I'd like you to please see if you can complete the 5 quotes. Pause the PowerPoint now. And here are the answers. So in purple pen, can you please add on anything that you didn't get or give it a tick if you got it correct? So today's lesson then, we are looking at practicing developing comments and ideas on quotes. And the reason we're doing this is because lots of students use quotes in their answers, which is fantastic, but they don't explain the effect of the language used in the quote, which means that they don't get as many marks as they could. So we're going to have a go together. This quote we've looked at lots of times, for brave Macbeth. The adjective brave shows us that Macbeth is a valiant war hero. But what else could we add to develop this idea further? I'd like you to pause the video now, and I'd like you to write down the quote for brave Macbeth, and I'd like you to write the first part there. The adjective brave shows us that Macbeth is a valiant war hero. Now you've written that down, let's think about what else we could add. So, the adjective brave shows us that Macbeth is a valiant war hero and has won a great victory on the battlefield. The fact that we hear this from the captain indicates that he is very deserving of this name, and we therefore understand that Macbeth is worthy of the praise being given to him. Pause the video now and add that on, please. I'd like you to have a go on your own now. We're going to use this quote, so just pause the PowerPoint and write down the quote, "By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes." Now you've written that down, we could write, when the witches describe Macbeth as wicked, the use of the adjective helps us to see that Macbeth's belief in the power of the supernatural has made him evil. This is ironic because... Pause the PowerPoint, write that down, and then I'd like you to have a go at completing that. Because what? Okay, so I've put, this is ironic because, look at the bit in red now, it is the witches who are wicked, and Shakespeare would want the audience to recognise that Macbeth has become a monster through his interest in the witches. Pause the PowerPoint now and add that on. Another quote we've looked at lots of times. Act like the innocent flower, but be the serpent under it. So you could start that off by writing, when Lady Macbeth uses the imperative here, remember an imperative is a command, she is commanding Macbeth to be devious. She wants him to appear harmless, but act like the devil. The word serpent has connotations of, so pause the PowerPoint, write that down, and complete it. The word serpent has connotations of what? You add that on. So I put, the word serpent has connotations of, look at the red bit now, of evil, and Shakespeare wants the audience to see that Lady Macbeth is so ambitious that she will do anything, even commit regicide to get what she wants. Macbeth knows it's wrong to kill Duncan, but he is also ambitious and is taken in by what the witches have told him. So again, add this on to anything you've written. If you've got something like it and you don't feel it will help you to add that on, then don't. Okay, I'd like you to have a go at doing the whole comment on your own now. So the quote we're going to look at is this a dagger I see before me, the handle towards my hand? So just pause the PowerPoint and write that down. And once you've done that, I'd like you to have a go at explaining that quote. just like we've done in the previous slides. What could you say about that? What language can you see there? What stands out? Okay, so a possible comment that you could write is, when Macbeth is contemplating murdering Duncan, he believes that there is a dagger in front of him. This hallucination denotes that Macbeth is suffering from mental instability because of the evil deed he and Lady Macbeth are planning. The fact that he uses the interrogative, remember that's a question, the fact that he uses the interrogative suggests he is uncertain of whether to go ahead with the plan, but the implication of the handle towards my hand suggests that it is showing Macbeth that he should commit regicide. Just pause the PowerPoint now, compare what I've written to what you might have written, and in purple pen, add anything on from my comment to what you wrote. So now I'd like you to have another go on your own. There are four quotes here that we've looked at before. Devilish Macbeth, bleed, bleed, poor country, great tyranny. What, will these hands never be clean? And of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen. I'd like you to choose one of these, please, and I'd like you to comment on that quote. Think about the language. So, for example, in Devilish Macbeth, what's that telling us about Macbeth? In bleed, bleed, poor country, great tyranny, look at the exclamation marks. What does that show us? What, will these hands never be clean? We've got we've got a question mark there. Have a think about what that's telling us. And then in the final one, of this dead butcher and his fiend-like queen, what language feature have we got there? I'd like you to have a go at commenting on one of them, but if you think you can do more, then please do, have a go. Pause the PowerPoint now. Okay, so let's try and put everything we've done today into practice. When Shakespeare writes, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind, dear wife," what can we infer about Macbeth? So I've given you a sentence starter. When Shakespeare writes, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind," I'd like you to complete that now. What does it tell us about Macbeth? What language feature have we got there? Is his mind really full of scorpions, or is that a metaphor? Have a think and try to write down some further comments to explain what that quote is telling us about Macbeth. What can we infer? Okay, so a possible comment to that is, when Shakespeare writes, "Oh, full of scorpions is my mind," he is showing the audience that Macbeth's mental health is suffering because of the terrible thing he has done in committing regicide. The use of the metaphor connotes that his guilt is stinging him, and he knows that he has betrayed Duncan by killing him. So once again, have a look at what you wrote. See if there's anything from the comment here that you could include that would add to your answer. And remember, none of this is new to you. None of these are new ideas. These are all things you know. It's just about practicing expanding your comments when you include a quote. So explain exactly what you mean by that. Okay, well done, Year 11. You've worked really hard this week. See you again next week.